Let's begin. The first lie wasn't spoken. It was lived. It was in the way Isla set her phone face down every evening. How her lips curled into an unfamiliar smile while chopping vegetables she never used to cook. How she stopped double-knotting her laces before runs, like she was in a hurry to be somewhere, or with someone. Her husband, Caleb, noticed everything. He didn't say a word. Not at first. Not even when she sat across from him at breakfast with a detached calm, buttering her toast like they weren't 16 years deep into a life built with mutual sacrifices. "I need a pause," she said softly, as if she were requesting a refund, not reshaping a family. "And what?" Caleb blinked, not out of confusion, but out of restraint. "I need time to think. Just 2 weeks. I'll be staying with a friend." She hesitated. A friend named Marcus. That was the moment Caleb's breath stilled in his lungs. Not from pain. That would come later. But from realization. This wasn't a request for space. This was a transition speech. A euphemized departure. She went on about confusion, needing clarity, how it wasn't necessarily over, how she owed it to herself to explore whatever this was. Caleb didn't interrupt. He didn't fight for her. That would have given her more power than she deserved. He simply nodded and began planning. The moment the front door clicked behind her, he locked it, not with the key, but with his resolve. He knew the game, and he would play it better than she ever expected. For the next 3 days, he didn't eat, barely slept. He sat in their son's room, watching Leo, a quiet, introverted 16-year-old, browse through his sketchbook. Leo didn't ask where his mom was. Maybe he already knew. Kids are like that. On the 4th night, Caleb picked up his phone and called Miriam, his lawyer, the one who had handled the licensing of his digital firm last year. "Draft the papers," he said flatly. "Are you sure?" She left to find herself. "I'm just helping her stay lost." Then came the hard part. Research. He dug into Marcus, the supposed new clarity, found bankruptcy filings, public intoxication charges, a bitter Yelp review from an ex who claimed Marcus was a narcissist with delusions of grandeur. Pathetic. This was who she risked their family for. Disgust was no longer enough. Caleb needed something more defining, something that would end her chapter in his life completely. So he created a checklist. Secure Leo's future. Move financial assets into solo control. Revoke her access to business accounts, utilities, health plans. Gather evidence quietly. Everything admissible. Win the war, not the argument. On the 5th day, he called Ariel, Isla's best friend, the one who once confided that Isla loved the idea of marriage more than the man she married. "I thought you should hear it from me," Caleb said. She left. For someone else. The silence on the other end said more than words could. 2 hours later, Ariel's Instagram story read, "Some people confuse butterflies with warning signs. Hope it was worth it," and tagged Isla. By day 7, Isla messaged Caleb. "Hope you're doing okay. I think about you and Leo every day." Just needed to say that. He didn't respond immediately. He waited till 1:14 a.m., then sent a message so mild, it screamed manipulation. "We're good. Hope you're finding peace too." She heart-reacted. He smiled, not out of affection, but strategy. She thought he was sitting by the window, like a golden retriever waiting for her return. Perfect. Meanwhile, he moved like a chess master. One by one, her privileges disappeared. ATM cards mysteriously declined. Streaming services asking for new passwords. Her name quietly replaced on home insurance policies. She didn't notice, yet. But soon, she'd feel it. The best move, however, was personal. He invited her parents, Walter and Elaine, for a quiet dinner. Elaine brought lemon tarts. Walter brought questions. Halfway through dinner, Caleb put down his fork and said, "She's with another man. She said she's coming back in 2 weeks, but I won't be here." Elaine looked like someone had turned off her oxygen supply. Walter just stared, jaw tight. "You don't deserve this, son," he said. "I know." When they left, Elaine whispered, "You're handling this with grace. If you need support." "I won't," Caleb said softly. "Not after what's coming." Because revenge wasn't an outburst. It was art. And Caleb? He was just getting started. Exactly 14 days later, like she'd booked it on a calendar, Isla walked back through the front door wearing her favorite beige coat and that irritatingly effortless smile. Her car keys jingled in her hand like nothing had changed. No tears. No apology. Just a breezy, "I'm home," like she'd gone out to buy eggs. Caleb didn't flinch. He was on the couch watching a documentary about wolves. Poetic, really. She lingered in the entryway, scanning the living room like she expected a welcome home banner, or maybe a warm hug. When none came, she made her way toward him and perched on the arm of the sofa. "I've made a decision," she said, voice soft like it was a gift. He muted the television and turned his head, giving her nothing. "I'm choosing you," she said, resting a hand on his arm. He pulled away like her touch was acid. "I see," he said. "Marcus wasn't what I thought. I guess I needed to go through that to realize how good we are. You and me. This life." "Leo." Caleb stood. He walked over to the side table, picked up a thick envelope, and handed it to her. "What's this?" she asked, her smile twitching. "Divorce papers." The color drained from her face. "You're divorcing me?" "Already signed. Just needs your name." She flipped through the pages, panic building in her throat. "This is insane. You said we could talk." "I said exactly what you said 2 weeks ago. I needed time. Turns out, I didn't need it to find myself. I needed it to find freedom from you." Her hands trembled. "But Caleb, I made a mistake. It wasn't what I thought. It was just—" "No," he cut in sharply. "It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Don't insult either of us by pretending otherwise." She paced, suddenly unmoored, scanning the house like it could give her answers. "You're really doing this?" "Just ending it." "I'm not ending anything," he said, folding his arms. "You did. When you packed a bag and left like our marriage was a summer rental." Her breath caught. "This is still my home." "No, Isla. It was a home. Past tense. Now it's just a house. And I've changed the terms of who gets to live here." He pointed at the envelope. "You have 3 days. After that, my lawyer takes over." Isla's eyes burned. "What about Leo?" The name stabbed into him, but he didn't show it. He already knows. I told him the truth. Not the explicit, sordid details, just enough for him to understand who stayed and who walked away. Tears ran down her face, real ones this time. But they weren't born of guilt. They were born of loss of control. Her identity was unraveling. For 16 years, she saw herself as the one who mattered more, who always had the final say, the one who could step away and expect open arms on return. Now, her arms were the ones empty. "You're really not going to forgive me?" she asked. "No, because I deserve better than a maybe." That night, she didn't leave. She went to the guest room. Caleb didn't ask, didn't care. The silence between them wasn't tension. It was closure. By morning, she was gone. All she took was her travel bag and the divorce envelope. On Sunday, Caleb found the signed papers in the mailbox. No note, no message, just her signature, final, lifeless. He poured himself a coffee and sat at the kitchen table alone. No relief, no triumph, but peace. And that was everything. Later, Leo came home from sleepover. Caleb told him it was over. Leo nodded slowly, didn't speak, then finally asked, "Do I have to see her?" "That's your choice," Caleb replied. "But you don't owe her anything." Leo looked down, his voice almost a whisper. "She didn't just leave you." And that was the moment Caleb's heart cracked the most. Not for himself, but for his son. For all the invisible bruises he now had to heal. But they would. Together. They started over, breakfast without small talk, weekend walks in silence, slowly rebuilding trust with time, not words. But Isla, she wasn't done yet. She started reaching out to old friends, spinning stories. That Caleb was cold, that she'd only left to clear her head, that he'd overreacted. But no one bought it, because truth has a smell, and hers reeked of desperation. Then, like a dying star flaring before collapse, she made her last move, a voicemail, left in the middle of the night. "I know you hate me. I know I messed up. Marcus wasn't real. I don't even know who I am anymore. I miss you, Caleb. I miss us. Please say something." He saved the voicemail, not to listen to it, but as proof of how low she had to sink before realizing who she lost. And he never called back, because sometimes the best revenge isn't fire. It's ice. It was never enough for Caleb to let things go quietly. Not because he wanted chaos, but because Isla needed to understand. She had to feel it. Every ounce of what she took for granted. Every breath she stole with her selfishness. So Caleb turned his attention to Marcus. He didn't confront him. That would have been loud, childish, exactly what Marcus expected. Instead, Caleb played chess. From across the city. With quiet precision. He began by learning everything. Marcus Hale, two-time failed entrepreneur, self-proclaimed life coach, former bar owner, and recent brand strategist, who peddled recycled motivational quotes online. He'd faked confidence for years, but his reputation was as thin as the suits he wore to hide his debt. Caleb hired a private investigator, a quiet woman named Serena, who specialized in digital footprints and discrete intelligence. Within 3 days, she handed Caleb a file so thick it could block sunlight. Marcus was under investigation for fraud. Hush-hush. He was running a silent scheme, promising online clients brand partnerships in exchange for consultation retainers, then ghosting them. He even used Islah's name to brag about dating a powerful investor's wife. That was Caleb's breaking point, because now it was personal. He didn't blow up, didn't shout. He documented. Caleb forwarded the file anonymously to 2 of Marcus's biggest past clients, both appending small claims against him. He knew it would escalate quickly, and it did. A week later, Marcus's personal site was taken down. The Better Business Bureau filed a formal complaint. One of the clients posted screenshots of his correspondence on Twitter. It went viral. Within 24 hours, Marcus was a trending topic, not for success, but for scam artistry. And still, Caleb said nothing. But it wasn't over. He reached out to Elaine, Islah's mother, one last time. Not for support, but for leverage. Over coffee, he dropped the bomb. Marcus used Islah's name in a fraudulent scheme. Elaine went pale. What does that mean? It means she's either complicit or the perfect pawn. Elaine's voice shook. We raised her better than this. No, Caleb replied coldly. You raised her to think she was better than others. When he left the cafe, he felt lighter. Not vindicated, just focused. This wasn't revenge anymore. It was accountability. Then came a message. A long, tear-stained paragraph from Islah. I don't know what's happening. Marcus disappeared. His accounts are gone. I feel like I'm falling apart. I know I don't deserve your help, but I need someone to talk to. Please. Caleb, I'm sorry. He didn't respond, because the world was finally teaching her what he didn't need to. Meanwhile, Caleb's life began filling with warmth again. Leo, once reserved and withdrawn, started opening up. They'd go to late-night diners after school projects, play chess on Sunday mornings, laugh again. There were still silences, but not the tense kind. These were peaceful, earned. And then came Mara, a software engineer with wild hair, a sharper tongue than most men could handle, and a laugh that cut through sadness like a blade. They met at a tech conference. She wasn't interested in small talk, which was perfect. Caleb didn't want to charm anyone. He just wanted real. Their conversations were long, layered. She didn't ask about his past, just leaned in when he paused too long, asked, want to say it out loud, and waited patiently. When he finally told her everything, about Islah, the affair, the revenge, she didn't flinch. I don't believe in karma, she said after a moment, but I do believe in balance. And you didn't throw the first stone. She built the catapult. That night, he kissed her, and felt something he hadn't felt in over a year. Safety. But Islah wasn't done. A mutual friend mentioned she was working retail now, living in a small rental flat, posting old photos on social media like they were current, a digital performance for an audience that stopped clapping long ago. Then, out of nowhere, Caleb received a letter. A real one. Handwritten. You probably won't read this. Maybe you've already shredded it. But I wanted to say something that I couldn't say when I was pretending to be okay. You were the best thing in my life. And I broke it. Marcus is gone. Took my savings. My dignity. My friends won't answer my calls. Even Leo won't look me in the eye. I thought I was escaping, but I was just destroying the only thing that ever loved me without asking for more. I'm sorry. I'll be sorry for the rest of my life. Islah. Caleb folded the letter and set it in a drawer. He didn't shred it, because revenge didn't need a bonfire. Sometimes, the quietest wins are the loudest. Islah once thought of herself as untouchable, a woman who could walk away and always return to a seat still warm, a man still waiting, a life paused on her terms. But reality doesn't freeze for the unfaithful. In the weeks following her failed return, Islah began unraveling fast. The job she took, a temporary gig at a boutique, paid just above minimum wage. Her resume, which she once believed sparkled, was mostly fluff. Her connections had evaporated. No one returned her messages. Ariel blocked her. Her cousin stopped liking her posts. Her inbox was just promotions and silence. Even her parents stopped defending her. "You need to take accountability, Isla," her father told her in a brutal voice over the phone. "You didn't just hurt Caleb. You embarrassed us." Every word stabbed her pride. But nothing cut deeper than the distance from Leo. She tried calling, texting, sending long, rambling voice notes. All she got were one-word replies, when he replied at all. Then one night, she waited outside his school in her car. When he walked toward the parking lot with his backpack, she stepped out and called his name. He froze. "Leo," she said, her voice breaking. "Can we talk?" He didn't move. "I miss you." He stood there, expression unreadable, then finally said, "You miss the version of yourself who had a family." She felt like the wind had punched her. Tears sprang to her eyes. But Leo just turned and walked away, toward a sedan pulling up. Inside it, Caleb sat in the driver's seat. He didn't even look at her. He just waited for his son. Meanwhile, Caleb's life was blossoming with quiet victories. Mara had started staying over on weekends, and she'd become a kind of magnetic force in the home. She cooked barefoot, danced in the kitchen with Leo, and had a way of making silence feel like music. No performance. No ego. Just presence. One night, after they cleaned up dinner, Leo sat between them on the couch watching a movie. Halfway through, he leaned into Caleb and whispered, "I think she's good for us." Caleb didn't respond. He just reached over and held his son's hand. But peace wasn't permanent. Isla, desperate to reclaim something, decided to fight. She contacted a lawyer, claimed she was entitled to a portion of Caleb's company, argued that her emotional support during his rise entitled her to partial ownership. The email came in late one evening. Caleb read it 3 times, then smiled, because he was ready. He forwarded the message to Miriam, his lawyer. "Respond formally," he wrote, "but attach the file I gave you last month." The file was a comprehensive log of Isla's abandonment. Timestamps, transaction records, social media screenshots of her flaunting Marcus during her Clarity trip, even a voice recording from her mother the night she left, saying, "I can't believe she did this to you." It was airtight. Within a week, Isla's lawyer withdrew. And Isla, she showed up at Caleb's office. Tears again, red-rimmed eyes, a mess of apologies. "I don't want your company," she said. "I don't want anything. I just want." She trailed off. Caleb raised an eyebrow. "You just want." "I want to stop being this person. I don't recognize myself anymore." "You're not the person you don't recognize," he said. "You're the person you finally see." She cried harder, then asked the question that had haunted her. "Do you think I'm a monster?" Caleb paused, then said, "No. Monsters are feared. You're just pitted." She left without another word. And for the first time, Caleb felt nothing. Weeks passed. The world moved on. Caleb started speaking at tech panels again. Mara joined him on business trips. Leo applied to an art school and got accepted. He hugged Caleb so hard when the letter came that it left him speechless. On the anniversary of Isla's departure, Caleb took a photo with Leo and Mara on the pier. They were laughing, windswept, sun-drenched. He posted it with no caption. Ariel commented, "Deserve happiness." Even Isla saw the photo. She didn't like it, didn't comment. She just stared at it for a long time before locking her phone, curling up on her futon, and crying in her coat. The one she wore the day she thought she could come back and press resume. Because the thing about pressing pause, sometimes the world keeps playing without you. 6 months later, Isla stood outside her old home in the rain. She didn't knock. Through the window, she saw Caleb cooking with Mara. Leo sat at the counter, laughing at something. It looked like a family, a real one. One that didn't pause. One that didn't need her. She turned away and left without a sound. Inside, Caleb didn't notice her shadow. He was too busy living, and living had become simple. His morning started with fresh coffee and no tension. His nights ended with peace, not questions. Mara didn't fill space. She enriched it. Leo smiled more. They were whole again, not because Isla was gone, but because they chose not to wait for her to return. One evening, Caleb got a letter. No stamp, just folded paper. "I won't reach out again. I know I broke everything. You deserve more. Leo deserved more. I hope you're happy. I'm trying to become someone who doesn't destroy what's good. Isla." He folded it and placed it in the drawer. Not out of sentiment, but closure. A year passed. Leo graduated. Mara moved in. Caleb never posted pictures to spite anyone, but the world saw anyway. The message was clear. He didn't need revenge. He built a life better than one. And Isla, she lived quietly. No scandals. No spotlight. No do-overs. Just silence. The same kind she left behind. Because in the end, Caleb didn't scream. He didn't fight. He didn't burn her world down. He outgrew it. And that was the most powerful revenge of all. The kind that doesn't need to be heard to be felt.